Welcome to the GTV studio for the recording of the feature race previews for this weekend. And you can see by the cards, the books that I have in my hand here, it's like a whole deck of cards here. We've got a menu of racing over the weekend. That is just mouth-watering stuff. Friday, starting on Friday at Fairview, the Algoa Cup, the Racing Association Stakes, the Wedgwood Handicap. Then we go to Saturday at Turffontein, the Allied Steel Rod on a Mission Mile, Grade 2, Graham Beck Stakes, Grade 3, Her Serene Highness Princess Charlene Starling Stakes, Group 3, and a host of other feature races. Kenilworth, the CTS Ready to Run Stakes, non-black type. If that still is not enough, we go to Hollywood Bets Gravel on Sunday for the Model Man Mile, a listed event. Plenty feature race action. With me in the studio to talk about these wonderful features is my good friend, colleague and co-host, Devon Govender.
Good afternoon, Warren. Fantastic to be here. We've got a host of feature races to look forward to. Exciting time for races. And just touching on that, it doesn't end on Sunday because on Tuesday is the Melbourne Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
Plenty racing action. Plenty racing action. Let's go through it all. It's just a quick version of what we like, who's running, and how we think the outcome of these races, will unfold. And let's go to Fairview on Friday, the 29th of October, and talk about the Nelson Mandela Bay Racing Algoa Cup, which is a listed event over 2,000 meters, and the race is going to run at 3:25. When this horse Hoedspruit last ran in Cape Town over 1,250 meters, many said it was a race way too short of his best, and he will come on from this run. Well, did you watch that race?
Yes, I did.
Absolutely romped home.
100%. That is definitely a sign of a really good horse. It's definitely not his trip. He prefers further, but definitely an outstanding win. And if I'm not mistaken, on that day, the horse that he beat was unbeaten. I'm not sure if that's correct.
Zapatilis, I think you could be quite right. But the point you're making is that the horse he beat is a talented sort.
100% correct.
Let's talk about a few others. Christopher Robin is returning from a 13-week rest and brings Joburg form into the race. It's his first run in Port Elizabeth, but he's got some talent, has Christopher Robin.
He is very talented. His merit rating is 111. He represents the outside value in the race, if I could say that, because when he did race in the Highveld, he was rated by his yard. So probably throw in larger quartets, trifectas, etc. The horse that I quite like, Warren, is Bayberry. His last run was on the 25th of September at Durbanville when running second to one-way traffic. This horse has competed in a number of features and he's definitely going to love this sort of trip. And he's got Bernard Fairherb on. That's a massive plus for me.
Huge plus, Bayberry. And this gelding by Flower Alley certainly can run. He was beaten by one-way traffic, and I know the yard have got very high expectations and high hopes for one-way traffic, so certainly Bayberry from a cosy draw is one to consider. Super Silvano, Brett Crawford's runner, consistent form, also one that's got to have an obvious chance.
He's got to have an obvious chance. I'm looking at the computer form. He's currently trading at 8-1 anti-post. We've just got the books printed today, so we haven't had too much time to study the form thoroughly and watch any replays. But based on form, consistent form lengths-wise, and must include, Warren, this race has attracted a power-packed field.
Power-packed field. Even horses like 9, Cat Daddy, 10 Musical Glitch, the Glenn Cotson runners. One's going to be ridden by Musi Yeni. The other's going to be ridden by Dennis Schwartz. Those two runners too, they can never be ignored from trifectas and quartets.
Yeah, the Source Cat Daddy runs extremely well for Musi Yeni. He won at decent odds at Gravel not so long ago, if I'm not mistaken. That was on the 31st of July. Runs well for Musi. He's back aboard. Cannot leave this horse out.
One last horse, we can't go through each and every runner because we simply haven't got the time. But one that I must ask you about is Marmara C. Soft falling rain is drawn deep, but wow, that's solid form.
He's definitely a very good horse. I've been following very closely. As you know, I do the Fairview selection, so I've been following this horse for a very long time. But, you know, the question mark for me is the 2,000 meters. His running style, I think he probably prefers a bit shorter, but he definitely deserves his place in this race.
Okay, after all is said and done, Devon, with regards to the Nelson Mandela Bay Racing Algoa Cup listed event over 2,000 meters at 3 on Friday at Fairview, who is your first choice?
I'm going to go with my narrow first selection, number 5, Bayberry.
Okay, I'm narrowly selecting number 4, Hoodspruit, for the win. So if you follow us, maybe some boxed exactas, Hoodspruit and Bayberry. Let's quickly just glance over the 6th race, which is the listed Racing Association stakes over 1,600 meters for a stake of 150,000 rand. It'll run as race 6 just before the Algoa, 10 to 3, 1450. For me, I'm quite firm in the camp of number 2, Norton Sound. I've watched his runs, I've watched his wins. I think he's really super talented.
I'm in full agreement with you. I know that this horse has been rated by his yard, and they've obviously kept Ryan Munger on. He's won the last start by 3.25 lengths. Definitely sets the standard for me in race number 6.
Okay, those are the 2 features. There is a Wedgwood handicap, a non-black type event as well on the Fairview card, but we've decided to discuss the Algoa Cup and the Racing Association Stakes. That's Friday at Fairview. Let's move our attention on to Saturday's race meeting at Turffontein. Well, what a feast of racing, and there are plenty feature races. So let's quickly skim over them and just give the viewers 1 or 2 horses per race to keep an eye out for. And let's start with the first feature, which is the 4th race, the Her Serene Highness Princess Charlene Starling Stakes over 1,400 meters. The race is to run at 10 to 2, 1350. For me, and you're probably going to agree with me, I'll be quite surprised if you don't, and I'm not pushing you into a corner, but for me, Big Burn's the one they have to beat.
I'm in full agreement with you. I was very impressed with this horse's last win, beating Under Your Spell. You know, they've rated this horse as a young horse, and look at the form line. Last 3 runs, she's won. She's on the up. She is a 3-year-old, and I think she's going to take all the beating.
Okay, there are obviously other runners that you've got to respect, Bold Act, Shield of Roses, but for the Joburg features, we're going to give the punters and the viewers one horse that is a must for all bets. Let's move on to the 5th race, which is the Allied Steel Road on a Mission Mile over 1,600 meters. 14:25 is the off time. Grade 2 event, and goodness gracious me, we are in for a humdinger. I'm
going to say this again. It's another power-packed field.
Got the green light. Malmoose, MK's Pride, even this horse Porto Manzano, talented. Asterix can run with the best of them. An interesting runner for me is number 13, Gigi's Dynasty, because he's been prepped and he's coming back steadily. And he too, I know it's been a long time since he's last won, but he can run this horse.
Yeah, he's definitely rated by his yard. Warren, interesting to note that this horse is drawn 16. Usually when you've got a feature race like this, there's going to be a lot of pace on, there's a lot of class in the race. And this horse is probably, I'm just assuming, this horse is probably going to be sitting midfield or towards the back, depending on how he jumps out from gate 16. And he's not going to do much. So with a little bit of luck in running, he will be running through the field.
Devon, are you a got the green light man? Are you an MK's Pride man? Who is your first choice? You know, you look at the draws, got the green light 14 out of 16, MK's Pride 1 out of 16, Malmoose 6 out of the 16. Who's your first choice?
I don't have a first choice. If I had to be pushed in a corner, I will go with the number 2, Malmoose. I do think he is on the up. He is a 4-year-old now. There is even more improvement to come. I was very impressed by this horse as a 3-year-old. But if you ask me, Warren, I would say probably rove numbers 1 and 2 in the quartet and throw in another 5 or 6 runners.
Mike de Kopp's stable, bang in form, mustard form at the moment, so Malmoose has an obvious chance. I can't work it out just yet. Got the green light, Malmoose, MK's Pride. I'm not quite sure yet where my 100 wins are going. The Group 3 Graham Beck Stakes is over 1,400 metres. That's race 6 at 3:05. Not to sound repetitive, but these are good races, these are good fields, these are good horses, and it makes it so competitive. Let's talk about a couple. Smorgasbord is certainly going about it the right way. He's a colt that can get back to winning ways. He won on debut in his last couple of starts. He's been in the money, but I think he could bounce back and possibly go close to winning.
I think he could be right there in the finish. He's definitely got the form. He's a 3-year-old. He's got loads of improvement to come, and he has been racing in features. He's rated by the yard. Warren Kennedy knows him very, very well. No doubt he will be involved in the finish.
The big question is, can they beat the Super Filly? Can they beat Desert Miracle? Every time she's been winning, she just stretches further and stretches further and stretches further. She's obviously the one to beat.
100%. Warren, from all the races, I did spend a little bit of extra time going through this race, and well, we all know how good Mike de Kock is. They're in good form at the moment, and he wouldn't have put this filly in this race if she didn't think she was capable. They are probably testing her ability because she is running against some good sorts, but I think she'll be very hard to beat. She's going to hold her own against this lineup.
Horses like Team Gold, Castletown, Kuma, Pyromaniac are all worth a mention. There are others that have got chances too. Mitch Got His Wish is certainly going about it the right way. Smorgasbord, Desert Miracle, but as you say, I think it's going to be hard to beat Desert Miracle.
Very hard to beat.
We're rowing in with what we call the Super Filly for the Graham Beck Stakes. The 7th race is a Group 3 event, the Yellowwood Handicap, over 1,800 metres, and they'll race at 20-4. 9 runners at the time of recording that go to post. Who's your first 2 or 3?
Yeah, I think this race is very competitive. It's a very open betting race. I see in the computer form number 4, Miss Elegance. That could be the likely opening favourite. But it's a very tricky race for me, Warren. I haven't been able to actually go through this race thoroughly yet. I've just glanced through it. But number 4 does represent some decent form, and I think she could be in the shake-up. How do you make it?
I was pleased to see Heartstrings bounce back to her best last time. She's always been a mare that's been there and thereabouts, and I just was so glad to see her win, and she beat her stable companion. I was glad to see her win, but I wasn't glad for my 100 rand because I backed Netta on that occasion and she beat Netta. But she can run Heartstrings, and I think she's going to be a big factor in this race. Victoria Page for Sean Terry, Lyle Hurtson, Hollywood Syndicate also has ability. It's a difficult Group 3 event where I think you must try and include as many as your budget will allow. Let's move on to the 8th race, the listed Golden Loom Handicap at 4:15 over 1,000 metres. Don't blink, you'll miss it because there's some speedsters here. There's some very, very good horses. Sheila, very good filly, takes on some of the boys. Master Archie is unbeaten, I think, since relocating to the Highveld. Elysian Chief has shown tons of ability, quite a trip, good winning form, and we can go on and on and on. I cannot wait for Saturday afternoon.
Yes, this is another very, very competitive race. Small field but packed with class. I really like the look of number 7, Master Archie. Won his last 3 starts convincingly, and he's the ruling favourite at 5-2 in a power-packed field once again. And you cannot discount number 6, Sheila. She's in very good form as well. She's rated by the yard, and probably throw in horses like number 2, Valerian King, who has a lot of speed.
Devon, I'll be taking as many boxed exactas as I can. 3 Quite a Trip, 6 Sheila, and 7 Master Archie. Those are my 3 for the Golden Loom Handicap, the listed event. The 9th race is the last of the feature races at Turffontein on Saturday. It's the listed Java Stakes over 2,400 metres. I see the official winning form have gone for number 2, Imperial Ruby, who is Corne Speaks' only runner, and could be the one that could cause a bit of an upset, goes well over long distances. But this horse marching on together has been very good to me since relocating to the Highveld. He's certainly going to have a chance. And Shangani, has raced 4 times for 3 wins and a place. Captain Chorus is consistent as ever. Pay Back the Money's coming back to form. And a horse named after you and I, Super Handsome. That gelding is certainly in good form, winning well last time. Should have a lovely smooth run in transit from gate 1. Even the Kop, Smiley River, and the list goes on.
Yes, it's a very tricky race. I think you'll have to throw in quite a few horses here. You touched on most of them. They've got an outstanding chance of winning. Also, number 1 out of your league, not without a chance, currently trading at 10-1 Warren. And quite like the look of number 8, Captain Chorus as well. Ran 3rd to Shangani, and we all know how the stable rate number 7 Shangani, and going the 2400 meters this time around, the distance will be absolutely no problem.
Okay, that is the Turf and Tone features for Saturday the 30th. There's the big race at Kenilworth on Saturday the 30th of October, the CTS Ready to Run Stakes, a non-black type event, and attracted again a star-studded field. Devon's just going to get onto his phone to get the field up for us. The CTS de Grendel Ready to Run Stakes over 1400 meters at 5 past 5, 17:05. 900,000 rand. First prize is 562,500. So there's plenty of money on offer for the CTS de Grendel Ready to Run Stakes over 1400 meters on Sunday, at least on Saturday. What price would Amamsen Toti be in this race if Amamsen Toti were to take up its place?
I think she would be favourite.
Queen of Shadows number 11 for Keegan de Mello, Justin Snaith, Suzette Viljoen and Barcy Viljoen ran a very close 3rd to Amamsen Toti number 11.
Outstanding form. Keegan de Mello is aboard. Definitely a massive live wire in this race. Warren, it's so lovely to see that the PE Raiders are down number 1, whatever next. I've watched this horse race in PE very, very closely. I'm not sure what the betting is at the moment, but I'll be definitely having a small each way on this horse. He's got so much heart. He's rated by his yard. He's run in those feature races, and he's beaten Norton Sound. That's a horse we spoke about earlier.
Absolutely.
So he's got so much heart, and he tries. He really puts it in, and I do think he's a horse on the up.
Okay, so the one that Devon's singled out is number 1, Whatever Next, the Water Winter for Anthony Williams and the Griefs. But unfortunately, Whatever Next's deep draw won't help. Let's talk about 1 or 2 other runners. Number 10, Homely Girl, Richard Ferree, Justin Snaith. They've also got a dreadful draw. And number 13, Dance Till Daylight, who's won her last 2 most impressively, but sadly drawn widest of all the runners.
Yeah, there's a lot of solid form here to recommend. A lot of these horses are being consistent, and there's a few horses on the up, so it's a little bit tricky. In terms of the pick 6, Warren, I do believe that you have to go a little bit wide here.
Your selection for the race, though, maybe an each way on number 1, Whatever Next?
Probably an each way on number 1, Whatever Next, and then a few swingers with numbers 10 and 11.
Okay, there we go. That's Devon's ideas on race 7, the Ready to Run Stakes, a non-black type event. And I'm quite firmly in the camp of number 11, Queen of Shadows, purely based on that excellent 3rd to Amamsen Toti. That is the feature for Kenilworth on Saturday. One more feature to talk about. That's taking place on Sunday, the 31st of October at Hollywood Bets Greyville. It's the Model Man Mile, a listed event. And let's just get to the right page. It's race 7, 1600 meters. Obviously, the Model Man Mile, 1600 meters. And it's at 10 past 4 at Hollywood Bets Greyville. First horse I want to talk about is Humdinger, horse number 1, who is Robbie Hill's horse. Carl Stradham's going to ride, and Carl Stradham knows each and every stride of Humdinger's. She's a Water Winter filly who ran a fair race on debut. She impressed me when winning her maiden. She impressed me again when winning first time out the maidens. She clearly is above average.
Definitely above average, and Carl Stradham knows extremely well. They've kept him on. He's got the draw. He's got a lot in his favour. So no doubt this horse is definitely going to be in the shake-up. I'm not sure what the betting is, Warren, but the computer form shows anti-post at 12-1. Definitely represents some serious value there.
AJ's captain, a Futura gelding, who's competed at high levels, solid form, very good second last time, comes from a stable that's banging form. He can win.
Definitely has a winning chance. Waterbury Lane came out to win after a layoff in Cape Town, if I'm not mistaken. So represents some solid form lines. It'll be very interesting to see how this horse runs in race 7, the Model Man listed. He's got Warren Kennedy aboard. He knows him extremely well. Definitely a horse on the up and one to watch.
Hasta Manana ran an absolute cracker first time out the maidens after, not a hard fought, but a hard ridden win in the maidens. I don't think they've got to the bottom of him yet. I think there's more to Hasta Manana than we can see. I think he's got ability, this horse, and I think he's going to be in the shake-up here.
Yeah, he's definitely got ability. He's got a top rider aboard, a lot in his favour, and I know I already said this before, but this is another very, very competitive field, Warren.
I'm going to jump to number 11, Keep It Secret, who's unfortunately drawn widest of all. At last run in Port Elizabeth was a good effort. There's the Norton Sound form line again. Do you give him a chance?
Yeah, I would definitely include him in larger trifectas and quartets. Keegan DeMello is aboard. Just looking at the anti-post betting, 20-1 anti-post does represent some value. But having said that, Warren, my narrow first selection is going to be number 7, Quasi for sure.
Okay, before we talk about that, I'm glad you mentioned that, but just because I want to end this preview, the Model Man Mile, with Peter Muscat's 2 runners. Quickly to get a comment from you about number 5, Proud Master, because he could be anything.
Yeah, he won his maiden extremely well, 4.6 lengths, beating Joshua Hotsnake, and we know this stable knows how to turn them out, especially for feature races. Definitely going to love the step up over 1600.
Okay, let's end off the Model Mile listed preview with Peter Muscat's 2 runners. Let's start with Quasi for sure, then go to Conquer the Enemy, because Quasi for sure, unbeaten, and could easily remain unbeaten after this race.
I do think he will remain unbeaten after this race. If memory serves me correctly, when he won his maiden win, the comments were they didn't expect him to win.
Yes.
I'm sure Donovan Dillon said that he's been working up a storm back at home, but he was still showing a lot of signs of greenness. And he just filtered through the field and he won extremely well. And I'm sure that the jockey said this horse gave him such a good feel. He's back aboard. He's won his maiden on him and he's back aboard. And I think he's going to take all the beating here.
Conquer the Enemy, the stable companion, certainly also going about it the right way, has to be respected. So that's a wrap of the preview show for the features over the weekend. It's been quite a long preview show, but 4 race meetings over 3 days, plenty betting opportunities, and plenty feature race action. We love it, and we'll be glued to our TV screens all weekend. Stay safe, punt well, and we'll see you soon.